Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing some great battles where a battler climbs to Legend for the very first time. They climbed from Veteran all the way to Legend using Rage Fist Primeape. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Dunkley, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now the team features Zapcan and Ampharos on the lead, with Primeape as the save switch and Virizion as the closer, and this trainer has sent in the final set to hit Legend, as well as the set to claim the Pikachu Libre. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's take a look at a team that helped this battler climb 500 points from Veteran all the way to Legend. Hopping into the first match, leading Ampharos into Shadow Dragonite. Dragonite more than happy to stay in here. Ampharos going to stay in as well, considering the two fighters in the back. Ampharos will fire off the Brutal Swing. We will see the shield from the Dragonite. Ampharos does get to outpace. Opponent knows it, and they're going to make a nice catch, catching the Brutal Swing onto Licky Licky. But bad news for Licky Licky, as in comes Virizion, and Virizion has an absolutely dominant matchup here. Licky Licky is going to go for the Body Slam. It's entirely possible that this Licky Licky is running Earthquake, and if they are, then they're stuck going for Body Slam in this matchup. Sacred Sword is going to land. That does some pretty significant damage. Licky Licky goes for another Body Slam, and honestly, Virizion can look to farm all the way down. Virizion is going to exit with quite a bit of energy, and the Dragonite, while it still does have a decent amount of health remaining, Sacred Swords will add up. This is a Shadow Dragonite, and Dragonite does not have a move here, so they're going to get hit with not one, but the two back-to-back Sacred Swords. This is going to KO unless they shield. Sacred Sword will pick up the knockout. In the back, opponent has their own Ampharos. Going to fire off a Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to connect, and there's the switch into the Primeape, and it's time for Primeape to start boosting up its attack. This can only be a Thunder Punch or a Trailblaze, so a very comfortable no shield from the Primeape. Primeape gets the back-to-back Rage Fist, and this game is already over. Rage Fist into the Ampharos. Opponent knows there's no win con, so they're just going to let that move go. Hopping into the next match, leading Ampharos into Tapu Koko, the battle of the electric types. Tapu Koko going to stay in this matchup to start with. Tapu Koko is going to fire off the Nature's Madness. Ampharos can survive this damage. Ampharos' moveset is completely walled here, but Zap Cannon does not tend to care about typings. Going straight for the Zap Cannon, opponent does commit the shield, but in comes Primeape, and Primeape will look to immediately shield as Nature's Madness would inflict massive damage. So Primeape is now going to be debuffed. Opponent sends in Gastrodon, and Gastrodon will immediately be met with a Rage Fist. Rage Fist is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. Primeape farm it up, and now going to look to connect with a boosted Close Combat. This will inflict some serious damage. Close Combat is going to land, but the Gastrodon tanks it on 1 HP. Honestly, Primeape's done its job, so I like the no-shield here. Oh, and actually, Primeape is able to survive, but in the back is going to be Feraligatr. Feraligatr farming up quite a bit of energy. I don't think that was enough. Yeah, that was only a Hydro Cannon. That's not going to KO. Virizion now gets to fire off its Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to connect, and that just does so much damage to Feraligatr. And the Tapu Koko, it's through energy, so it shouldn't have a lot of residual, and Leaf Blade does so much damage. Tapu Koko can be a terrific core breaker, but down energy, it can tend to struggle, and Virizion forces the shield with the first Leaf Blade, makes it to Leaf Blade number 2. This Leaf Blade just straight up KOs the Tapu Koko, and that will be a win. Hopping into the next match, leading Ampharos into Talonflame, a terrific lead. Opponent safe switches into Registeel, and Registeel will immediately be answered with Primeape. Primeape just going straight for the Rage Fist, looking to boost up its damage. Opponent is going to no shield, as of course that wasn't enough for the close combat. But Primeape now going to commit the shield. Zap Cannon comes through. We do not see an attack drop. Primeape building up to the close combat here, looking to exit this matchup while boosted. Opponent is going to let that through as well. Primeape going to make it to another Rage Fist. This Rage Fist is double boosted. It will pick up the knockout. Opponent is going to let that through. And now this Talonflame is going to have to deal with a triple boosted Rage Fist. This will do some solid damage into the Talonflame. Talonflame is going to no shield, and Talonflame, while it does have a shield advantage, it's lost almost all of its HP. They go for a Brave Bird to secure the knockout. In comes Ampharos. It's Licky Licky in the back, and Licky Licky just gets shredded by Virizion. So that poor opponent, double weak to fighting in the back, meets double fighters. They never had a chance. We've got a battle of electric types once again in the next match, leading the Ampharos into Magnezone. A Shadow Wild Charge does a ton of damage, so we are going to see a shield here early in the match. Magnezone is going to go for that move, and they send in Hippowdon, so nice job holding onto the energy, and now in comes Virizion, so the opponent running a team that is very, very weak to Virizion lead. Honestly, I do like teams that are very weak to Virizion lead. I tend to run them myself, so to me, it does make sense. Virizion is going to attempt to go for a full double kick farm down, as everything Hippowdon throws is going to be resisted. So Virizion is going to get hit with the back-to-back Scorching Sands, does get debuffed, but that's not going to stop the farm down. Virizion does have a ton of energy. We're going to see a simultaneous switch out here, saving the energy on that Virizion, and it's Primeape versus Annihilape in the back. Annihilape, of course, is going to no-shield the first, as future Rage Fist will do more, but that still does some very respectable chip damage. Rage Fist lands on the Primeape. Will not be enough to KO, but will set up a farm down for the Annihilape. Rage Fist is going to be shielded. Switch Clock not yet up, and Primeape is going to get fully farmed down. There is a ton of energy available on the Ampharos. Ampharos is full sending it here, straight for the Zap Cannon. Down goes Annihilape. In comes the Magnezone, just to get met with the energy from Virizion. Back-to-back Sacred Swords ready to go. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. And I believe that does secure the positive set here. Was around 2960 something, so getting a 4-1 should mean legend. Although I don't think we saw a loss in those battles, so I may have these battles out of order. We'll have to see. Morpeko is getting transferred, claiming the set, and there it is, the first time legend. So big congratulations to Dunkley. And now we have the Pikachu Libre set, leading Ampharos into Talonflame. An amazing lead for the Ampharos. Opponent save switches into Shadow Dragonite, and this is actually a difficult save switch to deal with. The backline really does not like Talonflame, but it also doesn't like the Dragonite. We're now going to see a switch out to the Primeape. Primeape is going to look to fire off a Rage Fist. Rage Fist will do some little chip damage here to the Dragonite, but at this point, it's about just trying to preserve the Ampharos for that Talonflame. Dragonclaw is going to be shielded. Primeape not going to get a farm down. Dragonite is going to make Dragonclaw number 2, and this is going to force a double shield out of the Primeape. There's a switch by the opponent. They're going to send in the Talonflame. Talonflame met with a boosted Rage Fist, and now can Primeape potentially get to a close combat here? Only going to go for the Rage Fist. Close combat does do more damage here just because it does get same type attack bonus. Grabbing a shield from the opponent. There's the switch back into the Ampharos. A Brave Bird might still KO here. Oh, they're on Flame Charge. Flame Charge definitely not going to KO. It's not the strongest move ever. Making it to the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing is going to knock the Talonflame out of the air. In the back is Giratina. Oh, that is not beatable for Virizion. So we will see that match be immediately resigned. Familiar lead in the next match. Ampharos into the Shadow Dragonite. Shadow Dragonite farming up a ton of energy. Opponent mistimes it there, and they give an entire free Volt Switch. Opponent now going to switch out into Licky Licky, and we've seen this core quite a bit in these battles. Dragonite lead the Licky Licky save switch, and this team is well positioned into that core, as Virizion, even with the shield disadvantage, just completely shuts down Licky Licky. Licky Licky, this one is actually running Shadow Ball, so they are able to hit for some slightly harder hitting damage than if they were just going straight for the body slams. Sacred Sword fired on the Captai here, and down goes Licky Licky. Opponent should be sending back in the Dragonite. Dragonite will be able to absorb the energy from the Virizion. Virizion is still going to inflict some damage here, so Sacred Sword is going to get them low. We see a switch out, and there's a combo play, sending back in the Ampharos. Ampharos Brutal Swing is actually going to pick up the knockout. In the back, opponent has their own Ampharos. No baits here from Dunkley, going straight for the Zap Cannon. They do not respect it. Look at that resisted damage. Opponent is going to concede the match with both shields remaining. Oh my goodness. Moving to the next match, Ampharos seeing yet another Talonflame lead. So it looks like this ELO bracket has a ton of Talonflame leads, and Ampharos very well positioned to handle them. Ampharos is going to commit the first shield of the match. There's the Brave Bird and the switch out from the Talonflame, and we're going to see a safe switch now to a Guzzlord, and Guzzlord will be answered with Virizion. Guzzlord, of course, can run Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb would inflict some serious super effective damage onto the Virizion, but you're already down a shield. You don't feel like you can go down 2, and there's the Sludge Bomb. It does not knock out, however. Virizion is going to look to overfarm a bit here just to limit the amount of farm Talonflame will get when it re-enters the field of play. And there's that Talonflame. Oh no, Talonflame does get 2 incinerates. That's so unfortunate. Virizion barely hanging on. In comes the Ampharos. Ampharos firing off the Brutal Swing, but the Ampharos one turn lagged on bring in. The opponent shouldn't have been able to sneak there. That's actually really, really unfortunate, giving that Talonflame free energy when Dunkley did throw on good timing. We're going to see a switch out into the Primeape. Primeape going to shield, hoping against hope that the Karate Chop that went through will secure the knockout, but it doesn't. Talonflame hangs on. Talonflame was at 100 energy. There's the Brave Bird. It's getting one shot, but in the back is Tentacruel. No way. This game is still a win, as this is a Zap Cannon. One hit KO onto the Tentacruel. Down goes the Talonflame, and despite the game lagging, it does not matter. Dunkley is still victorious. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, leading Ampharos into Golurk. Opponent is going to switch out, and they send Florges into the Primeape save switch. So definitely good to bait out Florges, as of course that would be a huge problem for Virizion. But Golurk Florges, oh my goodness, the opponent bringing out the spice for sure. Florges, very nice counting here from the opponent. We are going to see a shield from the Primeape. Primeape does want to try and get shields down. If the fewer shields that Golurk has to hide behind, then the better chance of Virizion sweeping in the endgame. Opponent doing a very good job of keeping count of the energy on the Primeape, not letting Primeape force a shield advantage. In comes the Ampharos. Ampharos just going to look for a big farm down. Ampharos, of course, will exit with a Brutal Swing loaded, but to throw it, you're going to have to take Mud Slaps, and there's the Golurk. Golurk re-entering the field of play, just going to fully let the Ampharos go. It was an aggressive switch into the Golurk, and now it's all up to Virizion to try and close this endgame. This is going to be a difficult one to play out of. Shadow Punch is going to connect. It's a CMP tie. Golurk, of course, has a much higher attack stat than the Virizion. Virizion Leaf Blade is going to land. It does get the Golurk low, but just not low enough to farm down, and that's going to force the final shield. Granted, the Virizion would really need a type advantage in the back to win, and it's a Clefable, so unfortunately it's Golurk Double Fairy. That's just not a winnable game for this team here. The opponent actually made a sick catch as well. So yeah, that one, you just end up having to top left and just tip your hat to the opponent. Alright, it looks like this is the missing battle from the first set, leading into a Waterfall Empoleon. Opponent save switches into Zygarde, and Zygarde will be answered with Virizion. You really have to hope as a Virizion that this is a Zygarde running Earthquake, not Outrage, as Outrage would inflict massive damage. The reason why Virizion can do well in this matchup is it is a wall to Crunch and Earthquake, but it's running Outrage. Oh no, that is so unfortunate for the Virizion. Virizion is going to strike back with a Leaf Blade, making it to another Leaf Blade as well. This will be getting the Zygarde quite low, but Zygarde running the Outrage tech, aggressive switch to the Primeape. Primeape saying, if I'm going to lose switch, I may as well get an energy advantage. Commits the shield. There's going to be a bait from the opponent. Primeape farming up quite a bit. This Leaf Blade will not be enough to KO here. Opponent does go for a Sacred Sword there. Leaf Blade does do slightly more damage. Primeape gonna go for a bait. Rage Fist bait gets no shielded. Oh, that is unfortunate. And this game feels like an unfortunate series of events now. And yeah, at that point, you kind of just have to top left. That is very, very tough. Alright, we are moving into the next match, leading Ampharos into Clefable. Now, two fighters in the back, very happy to catch the Clefable on the lead. Had a couple tough losses the past few battles, so this is a good game to try and bounce back. Got a pretty solid lead. Clefable Moonblast rocks the Ampharos, but Ampharos is looking to hit back even harder, going for the Zap Cannon. It connects. We see a switch into the Primeape. Opponent is thinking about it, and they just concede the match. Maybe they were running Clefable and Double Weak to fighting in the back, but a 2 Karate Chop head start Primeape was too much for them to deal with. And now the moment of truth, claiming the Pikachu Libre. It is not shiny, but that is a pretty good IV Pikachu Libre. So big congratulations to Dunkley. And since this submission was a little bit shorter in terms of length, I do have a bonus battle as well from a different submitter, Youngster Brian, and he is also using XL Primeape, but he is running a triple Shadow team with XL Fortress, Shadow Drifblim, and the Shadow Primeape in the back. Fortress is pretty well positioned in this lead matchup, able to shake off that crunch damage, look for the one-hit KO, but the opponent quickly puts up their shield, but then they throw on alignment, and that's going to give Fortress an entire Volt Switch for free. Fortress is going to commit the shield, look to overfarm. There's a catch from the opponent, able to catch the Earthquake onto Virizion where it is going to be resisted, and that just does absolutely nothing. Fortress going to rebank energy, get a Rock Tomb, bring in the Shadow Driftblim. Virizion threatens a Stone Edge, but Driftblim does not buy it and is proven correct, as the Virizion is just going to fire off Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade is going to connect, and Driftblim is just completely unfazed by this damage, overfarming and playing to the cap tie here. Icy Wind is going to secure the knockout. In comes the Skuntank. Skuntank is going to win the CMP tie, denying the energy from that Driftblim. There is still energy available on the Fortress, but the Fortress is pretty low. The good news is due to Fortress's typing, of course, he can't really poison jab it down, but instead, Youngster Brian is going to choose to send in the Primeape. He just wants the energy advantage. Skuntank goes for the Trailblaze in the back. Oh no, Trainer, it's going to be a Driftblim, and let's let Primeape absolutely shred in this endgame. Primeape now firing off a boosted Rage Fist. This can force the shield, and then there's the savage combo play with the Rock Tomb on the Fortress. Fortress Rock Tomb KOs. All that's left is the Skuntank. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. All in all, big congratulations to Dunkley for hitting Legend for the first time, and thank you to Youngster Brian as well for sending in a little bit of extra footage. Primeape is a Pokemon that I'm excited to see it get more meta relevance due to Rage Fist. I do think it's a Pokemon that is a little bit difficult to master, as knowing when to Rage Fist and when to Close Combat can be a little bit tricky, because Close Combat, of course, is high risk, high reward. If you can land it, it does way more damage than a Rage Fist, even when Rage Fist is neutral and Close Combat is resisted, but it comes with that heavy cost of lowering your defense by 2 stages. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.